All right, so Carlos, tell us a little bit about Wicked Comics. What is it all about? What do you do?
Well, Wicked Comics, I started it a few years ago. Not so we're pretty new. Just started it as basically it's just it's a comic book publishing company, just like I would say along the lines of like Image Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is original. All original characters. But yeah, where we basically do comic books. We also are going into making action figures too, and we also did a short movie based on Clown Man, which is one of our characters. So we're basically doing a little bit of everything.
Okay. Kind of like me. I have an animation studio. I do web comics. I'm a novelist and so on and so forth. So very relatable.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. Well, then let's not waste time. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Adam, let's get your list. Let's go.
Well, there are a variety of ways we can approach this, but I suppose my first question here is: do you personally create any of the comics, or are these from other people?
No, I basically everything you see on Wicked Comics, it's my creation. From the art to the stories. I basically do everything at the moment. The coloring, the drawing. So that's why it takes sometimes a little bit longer to release. Titles, because it's just making comics. It's very time consuming.
Fair enough. Especially since, from what I've been able to gather, you have a fairly sizable stable of characters or titles. You have things like Bloodstone, Justice, Dead Samurai, Kill Switch, Clown Man, and probably some others here I'm missing.
Lycans. We got a pretty big stable. What I'm basically doing now is I'll release I'm going back and I'm releasing like Clown Man 3, Kill Switch 3. So I'm releasing a title, on issue 1, and then going back to the other titles that already have 1 and 2 issues to continue the series.
Okay. Now is that for like select series, or are you trying to do that to your entire stable?
Basically for the entire stable. Just currently at the moment, since it's only me doing everything. Hopefully, if the company keeps on growing, I could hire, others to join to get everything out quicker.
Right. I mean, there's a few reasons to do that. Not just in terms of time considerations, but like I said, I'd imagine just managing this amount of titles just by your lonesome is pretty unwieldy, from my estimation.
So, it really is, because anything with art, and I don't do it. The only thing I do digital is coloring and like some motion comics things I do digital, but the rest is just I ink it I draw by hand and ink it by hand. So still like the old ways.
Like, was that a conscious choice, or is that what you were trained in?
No, it's just that I don't feel comfortable with the Wacom tablet. I've tried messing with it a little bit, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel. I guess I've been doing it for so many years. Just drawing digital, I feel more comfortable with it.
I mean, how long have you been creating art?
Well, I would say ever since I was little. back. But like professionally, I would say about ever since I started Wicked Comics a few maybe 4 years ago. I'm on my own now, so just that's basically what I'm doing all the full time.
I see. So that is to say, this is your entire full-time gig, not a side job while you're working a real job kind of deal.
No, no, this is basically my full time job. Yeah, I gambled everything and just doing this full time.
It it's always a bit of a risk, to say the least. No question about that. Like,
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Sometimes, even you've seen some companies that go under. You know, even I think like if you look back, I think even Marvel almost went under. If it wasn't for the movies, they would have went under.
yeah, um, they barely avoided bankruptcy back in the late '90s, or no, or rather liquidation.
Right, right. I don't know if you guys know that company. I used to be in Florida. I'm in Florida. There was a company called CrossGen. I was a big fan of that company too. CrossGen. They did a lot of
Sounds so-
fantasy type things, and they went under. I forgot the reason, but they had a lot of known, pretty good artists, and
yeah,
they
the
went
name.
under.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I can't quite place them offhand. Like, what did they do?
They did a title called Sojourn, I believe, um, which it was more kind of medieval. All their titles were kind of like geared toward like sword and sorcery type of things.
I said,
Um, that was the big one. Sojourn was a big one. Um,
I said it's ringing a bell, but I can't quite place it.
yeah, it's just that they were around in the '90s, and only for a couple of years, and then they disappeared.
Like, unfortunate.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it was unfortunate.
I suppose it does beg the question: what has made you walk this path? Why have you decided to risk it all in pursuit of you know these comics?
I guess because I have so many stories to tell. So many things jump in my mind that I don't think I would be happy just working for a big company. Just doing their ideas when I got so many ideas. You know, so that's why I think I took a risk on it and trying to get it out there.
Well, I mean, uh, hopefully it all works out.
No, yeah, thanks so much. I mean, we've been pretty successful for the small time we've been out. We've done we've had 3 successful Kickstarters for for 3 of the titles. Let me try to backtrack. I think one was for Kill Switch. The other one was Bloodstone, and another one was for Justice. And we just started, releasing these Kickstarters, and they've been going pretty decent.
Hmm. And just to clarify things, your main focus is the comics, right? Less say IP, even though you seem to have branched off in a few other directions.
Yeah, no, the main thing is the comics. But yeah, like we said, yeah, trying to branch off just like for the Kickstarters, like I'll make an action figure, say for Bloodstone, and offer it as a reward. So that's and also like I've also done trading cards based on the characters. So
Right.
so just trying to just kind of branch out.
Yeah, I think we've had someone else who did trading cards or something like that for Kickstarter, but I think you might be the first person we've had on the program who's done like action figures for their backers.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. A friend of mine, uh, actually on Facebook, he kind of guided me through it. He helped me. Um, and he kind of explained kind of the process of how to doing it, and then on my own, I just kind of just by trial and error, mixing different plastic. It gets pretty complicated because you have to make molds of each body, each part. Then you got to inject the mold with plastics, and then you got to paint it. So it's a whole process.
I'd imagine. Like, and in terms of like, is it just an action figure of a particular character, or is it like a whole set?
No, yeah, now it's like some specific characters, but then also what I'm doing now is we're about to launch a comic book called Lycans, which is it's a werewolf comic, so it's a whole line of action figures based on the werewolves, and also we got a line of action figures from a title called Dragon Masters, which is like a He-Man mixed with Star Wars type of title, and I did all the I have everything ready to get molded too. So I mean, we got a lot of action figures coming soon for the different Kickstarters.
Like I said, it's intriguing. Um, and
And I know 3D printing is pretty big now. I haven't really messed with 3D printer, but ideally, I would think like a 3D printer would be easier, especially something that could just like scan your sculpt, and then
yeah,
it just make it for you instead of like the injecting plastic into the mold.
yeah, I think this is what surprised me the most, that you're doing it the way like Hasbro does their action figures or what have you, instead of 3D printing them.
Yeah, it's just I don't have a lot of space in my studio to be putting a lot of machines. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, that would be something like, yeah, if we kept on growing, definitely. Because I
yeah,
even see like how Mattel does it. They have like a huge tank, and then they just 3D print everything. And yeah, it's way easier.
like, and now when you say action figures, are these like actual action figures, or are they statues?
No, you could actually they have articulation, so you
Hmm.
could like it's not. I've gone into I did a kill switch figure that had like over 10 points of articulation. It was like the head would move, the top body, the arms, the
Hmm.
wrist, the hand. So pretty much everything was pretty much articulated. But it takes a little bit more while. It takes a longer time to make. The more articulation, the more time it takes. Especially
Right.
how I'm doing it.
And what's the size on these action figures?
I'm staying with 6 inches. Nothing bigger than six
Mhm.
inches because it's just
Okay.
it gets to the space too. I can't
Yeah.
have like a bunch of these huge molds everywhere.
Indeed. Okay. Anyway, so shifting focus a bit, you also mentioned that you did a short movie for one of your characters in Clownman. Was that for something? Was that for a Kickstarter?
No, actually, that was just something just to give back to the fans. It was just a short little a movie that it showed a little bit about the character, the origin of it, and it got into the story. Nothing directly related to exactly to the point of the comic, but it was something just to give back to the fans, and they seemed to enjoy it.
Uh, that's good. How long was it?
I believe the movie it was over an hour. I think it was like an hour and
Huh.
something. So I mean, for the budget, I mean, the budget was very low for that. You know, it wasn't nothing crazy.
Still, longer than I was expecting.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you would think it would be like a short movie, like a 10, 15 minute, but yeah, it ended up like over an hour.
Hmm. Well, I mean, as long as your fan base liked it, I suppose that's what's the important thing here.
Yeah, it was you can't really expect too much. It was nothing. You could, the effects and everything. I did pretty much all the editing and everything for it. So it's, I mean, for what it was decent.
I'm like, anyway, so would you consider the likes of Bloodstone, Kill Switch, and Clownman to be your top titles?
Um, yeah, I would say those three. Yeah, they're pretty popular. I always get every once in a while somebody to send in some fan art. We got a pretty big fan art section on the website of everybody that sends something in. We'll put their pieces up. Those three are always the top three. I would say.
And having read through, I think you sent me an issue of Kill Switch and Clownman. You know, I
Well,
can
yeah,
definitely see. I can definitely see the early image thing you were going for, because these things definitely reminded me of like early issues of, say, Youngblood or the Savage Dragon, what have you.
yeah, for
Like,
sure. Yeah, definitely Kill Switch. I some of my influences. Yeah, definitely the Image guys. McFarlane, Lee
mhm.
Fields, and Jim Lee. I would say those three guys are, as far as the art wise, those are the guys I look to. I always like their energy with their artwork and their styles.
Right. And I suppose we should delve a little more into some of these characters, since we haven't really talked about them. Like, for example, Clownman. So this is an intriguing bent, as you've got a actual clown from a circus as, like, is he an anti-hero or a vigilante? Like, he seems to be one of those bad people who fights even worse people deals.
Yeah, I would say you pretty much nailed it on the head. I would say he's both. Yeah, anti-hero, vigilante. So
Mm,
he's not really like I would say like a Superman or a Spider-Man that's like does everything to save the day kind of thing. He's more a darker type character,
and
almost
that
like the Joker reversed into a Batman role kind of thing.
mm, yeah, like that's the thing that struck me as most. I'm not sure if it'll have to do 90ish about a lot of your titles here. That kind of gritty anti-hero really permeated comics during the 90s. Like, you know, for better or for worse. Um,
Yeah, I know some like we look back at some of the '90s art. We were like, I guess we could criticize it, like the gigantic pockets and things, but I don't know. I kind of like the energy of the '90s comics. I think maybe it's something that's lacking nowadays. I feel like the comics nowadays everything looks the same. It looks like a movie, and it's like if I want to see a movie, I'll go see a movie. I kind of like to see artwork that's different, stylized or
I mean,
has that energy to it.
can't really speak to the big two since, honestly, I don't think anyone here is a big, like, mainstream comics reader. I mean, typically when our show covers comics, it's, well, guys like you, people who work the indie scene.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, very
and
cool.
we
Yeah, And I haven't picked up the big company comics. I would say since the late '90s, when I stopped collecting. Actually, everything that I see now is I mostly stick to the indie scene, which I feel like it's more. That's where you get more original ideas. At this time nothing's really original, but at least the indie scene, they try to come up with like things that are kind of different.
Yeah, we've certainly encountered our fair share of interesting indie titles. Like I said, yours ranks among that. Um, like going back to Clown Man here. You know, I know this is gonna maybe sound like sarcasm, but I am being completely earnest here. It's actually a fairly bold choice to have a monster clown as your protagonist. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's something so out of the ordinary, you know.
mm-hmm,
But I was always a fan of the Crow. I always liked
mm-hmm.
the James O'Barr comic, The Crow. So it was like an inspiration from The Crow, but also from Joker, the Batman, those dark type title. So that's how I kind of came up with that character.
Fair enough. Um, and I guess switching a bit to like Kill Switch here. He's a character who feels much more Liefeldian. Like, he's definitely someone who would not be out of place out of Youngblood or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, Killswitch. He's the thing is, we only got two issues, but the idea for the characters, he's going to go back into certain older wars, so that you're going to see Killswitch in World War II, maybe in Vietnam, some origin things like that, but and also in the future, because it's a Killswitch program that made this ultimate assassin, so he
Mhm.
goes on these missions. But yeah, in the future, I had the idea that he might be going back to, say World War II against some Nazis or something.
I'm like, that's as classic as you can get with comic books.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be and I always, sometimes the fans even, they'll message me and say, oh, maybe try doing something like that. I always listen to the fans of what they like, and I try to incorporate into the comics.
Hmm. Well, that's good. Like, what are some of the suggestions that they've given you over the course of this brand experiment?
Um, I would say sometimes even just from the fan art, they'll change something on the character. Um, change maybe a character design that then I end up using on the character. So I would say that that's pretty big. Even just the fan art always helps.
Okay. Is that something you have to explain in universe?
No, no, just like just say they change a little bit something on the character's design, then just in the next issue, I change up the character a little bit. That's about it. So I know I don't really I won't really explain it unless it's something really really major.
Gotcha. Um, anyway, another thing I want to ask, and this is a left turn from all the you know grim and brooding anti-heroes of your stable, and that is you seem to also do children books because I see an entry for the Sea Princess and the Forgotten Grief.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, we tried. I had the idea, and I also did an animation called Agent Duck. It's almost it's a duck that's almost like a James Bond type of character. So we also have we're also trying also to go into more kids orientated material. but yeah, the Sea Princess is like it was very it got I always liked the Little Mermaid, Disney. So that's not that's something also that I was trying to incorporate too into the company.
Is this book new, or was this something that was put out a while ago?
That one came out a few months ago, so not too long. It's fairly new. I have that on Amazon. That one I have on Amazon.
Like, and I suppose circling back to the comics, do you put your comic books out digital only, or do you like put out physical prints as well?
Oh, both. I have them. Um, well, for the Kickstarters, I always offer them as both
Mhm.
digital and a physical copy. Um, and then I have them also on Amazon. Also, you could get it as a digital and a physical. And and sometimes I'll print out, just to have here at my studio. And then if somebody orders, then I actually ship them out to anybody that buys them.
Okay. And in terms of Kickstarters, do you have anything that was recently completed, and are you looking forward to any Kickstarters that may be coming up in the near future?
Yes, yeah. The latest one we did was it was for Bloodstone issue 2, and that one we got funded. So it was I offered issue 1, issue 2 as prizes, digital, also physical copies, and also I had a Bloodstone action figure too, and trading cards. But that was the latest one for Bloodstone, and upcoming we got that title called Lycans, which is the werewolf comic, which is just if you I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's basically takes place in Transylvania. There's these 4 vampire hunters are on a mission to get rid of Dracula because he's been harassing Transylvania for so long. But then something happens, and then this curse of Lycans is released upon Transylvania. So you got these werewolves running wild. But it's almost gonna be. I have the idea, kind of like it might be going in from the to the future to the past, so almost like an underworld maybe type of thing. I'm not sure where that's gonna go, but that's basically the premise for that.
I'm like, it's an interesting choice to do something in Transylvania that isn't wholly about Dracula, vampires. I mean, obviously they're still there, but the focus is on werewolf. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's why. Yeah, I wanted to incorporate something with Dracula in it. So that's why I had that tie in there, that they're going after Dracula to try to kill him, but then something happens, and that this curse of Lycans is released into Transylvania that haunts the city for like forever.
it'd be interesting to see where that goes. Um,
Yeah, because I was a fan of I looked at the Dracula movie with what's his name? I think Keanu Reeves was in it. I don't know if you know the one what I'm talking about.
uh, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, that one I liked it. I liked that movie, so I kind of got inspired a little bit from that, and definitely Underworld. I always
Mhm.
liked the whole werewolf stuff.
Yeah, that's what this was reminding me of. Um,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
down.
definitely. Yeah, and then that issue is tying into another issue called Bullet, which is he's a he's almost like a Blade type of character, but he's a werewolf hunter. So that the Lycans is going to tie into that title.
Okay. I suppose that does bring up another salient question about your entire operation here. Is this, is are all the titles working in their, you know, overall universe, or are they like, individualized a bit more? Like how
Yeah, well,
Marvel Comics works in one universe, and
right. I would say, I mean, some do connect. Like I said, the lichens and bullet, it has some sort of connection there. But I think for the majority, everything is its own. You know, I mean, I did have an idea. Maybe they could connect to have some like a team maybe in the future. I'm not sure where that'll go. You know,
I mean,
I don't know.
there's several ways that can be, gone with that that kind of direction. Um, multiple paths there. But I personally, I'd say overall, it's probably a good thing that the individual titles are individual, because just given the diversity of location and people on display here, um, it's less cause of concern when they do cross over. Like, speaking personally again, that's something I've always had a problem with, say, Batman or the X-Men versus the larger DC or Marvel universe. You don't quite fit in to what you're doing here versus overall.
Right, right. No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's
Mhm.
better, especially as indie guys, to keep everything, keep each title as their own, own thing, and then it's going to be easier if they do cross paths. How you
Yeah.
do it?
Um, anyway, so we're getting low on time here, so just a couple more questions from me, at least. Um, those are, so do you have any other titles that you're conceptualizing at this point?
Yeah, well, I'm basically working on the two titles at the same time, the Lycans and then Dragon Masters 2, which I told you a little bit about, which is that's our big fantasy comic.
Mm,
Um, and then after that, I'm gonna be doing Clown Man 3 and Kill Switch 3. Clown Man 3 is gonna be you're gonna get two new villains called Jinxie and Guns. They're basically bank robbers, and Guns is a rabbit, almost like Roger Rabbit, but a darker version, Um,
mm,
and then Kill Switch 3 is called Dead Zone. He goes into a mission on this prison on Mars. So
mm,
that's basically the issue 3.
okay,
But yeah, they already I already have it all ready to go. Just gotta start drawing it.
gotcha. And I guess finally from me, do you have any other non-comic products that aren't attached to a Kickstarter in the works?
Um, Currently, no, I don't have any project that's not comic book related.
Hmm.
Definitely. I'm always gonna try to release a few Kickstarters a year. Maybe 2 to 3.
Well, good luck to you.
No, thanks so much.
Not a problem, not a problem. Now I will see if my colleagues here have anything further for you.
I'm good.
Nope, I was
Yeah,
just
I think I'm
listening
good.
intently.
Okay.
All right, Carlos. Before you go, any appearances or special things you want to promote before you end the interview?
Um, no, I would just say just the website www.wicked-comics.com. That's basically our big website. To we always updating things there, and no, just give a big thanks to the Wicked fans out there, you guys for having me on, and just always supporting the company and all the new titles because I know it's a tough industry to get into. So thanks everybody for always their support.
Okay. All right, Carlos, it was lovely having you on the show, and we look forward to seeing what your latest projects end up becoming.
Great.
Thanks again.
Thank you again. Yeah, it was very nice to meet you guys, and thanks a lot.
No problem.
Have a good night, guys.
We will.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
good
so
night.
much.
Bye.